last week, Donald Trump basically said to Nancy Pelosi and the rest of the country that he is halting negotiations on economic stimulus related to the pandemic. Now, he realized that was an unpopular decision and he's facing a tough re-election race. And so he immediately reversed course and claimed that he wanted Democrats to pass a big stimulus bill. And his White House proposed $1.8 trillion in stimulus spending. Now, over the weekend, Nancy Pelosi rejected that deal. And she rejected it because she felt that the priorities in the GOP spending bill, spearheaded by Donald Trump, had the wrong priorities, did not focus on the economic relief that Americans need, including help with childcare, especially when so many schools are shut down, which is understandable. But the bill did include an additional $400 per week for unemployment benefits, and Trump wants to send out another $1,200 stimulus check. So understandably, Democrats like Ro Khanna are angry that Nancy Pelosi didn't take the deal because it is close to the $2 trillion that the House wanted to spend on stimulus. Now, with that said, Nancy Pelosi recently went on Wolf Blitzer's show to defend her decision, and things got pretty fiery. Take a look.
Make a deal, put the ball in McConnell court. So what do you say to Ro Khanna?
What I say to you is, I don't know why you're always an apologist, and many of your colleagues apologists for the Republican position. Ro Khanna, that's nice. That isn't what we're going to do, and nobody's waiting till February. I want this very much now because people need help now. But it's no use giving them a false thing just because the president wants to put a check with his name on it in the mail, that we should not be doing all we can to help people pay the rent, put food on the table, to enhance benefits, that they don't lose their jobs if they're state and local, we're talking about the consequences of a pandemic, that the symptoms of a problem that the president refuses to address.
But you know,
and that is the coronavirus.
We know
that is
we
the
know
coronavirus.
The problem out there, but there are millions of Americans who have lost their jobs. They can't pay the rent. Their kids need the food.
That's right, and that's what we're trying to get done.
$1.8 trillion, and the president just tweeted, stimulus, go big or go home. He wants even more right now. So why not work out a deal with him, and don't let the perfect, as they say here in Washington, be the enemy of the good.
Well, I will not let the wrong be the enemy of the right.
What's wrong with?
So there are other twists and turns to this story, because while Pelosi is positioning herself as someone who's attacking Trump's proposal from the left, you also have to consider that she's not the only one who opposes Trump's bill. Mitch McConnell, Senate Majority Leader, has made clear that he does not want to pass any type of economic stimulus outside of additional funding for small businesses, PPP. That's the only thing that he's willing to spend money on. And Senate Republicans have also made clear that they believe that a $1.8 trillion stimulus bill is far too much money and they're unwilling to pass it. So you have two different parties that are unwilling to pass Donald Trump's version of stimulus. And unfortunately, the people who get caught up in the middle are the American people who desperately need financial help right now. We have one more video, but Cenk, why don't you jump in?
Yeah, so what a upside down, topsy-turvy world. So number one, it sounds like Pelosi and Trump could have a deal if Mitch McConnell would get out of the way. Mitch McConnell is the one who doesn't want more money going to average Americans. He wants it going mainly or almost exclusively, if he had it his way, to businesses. And because that's who Mitch McConnell gets his power from. He takes the voters of Kentucky for granted. He thinks these schleps always vote for me no matter what. I get my real power from corporate donors, so that's who I'm gonna help. Trump, meanwhile, has his own reasons. It's not like he doesn't care about corporate donors, but he thinks, I wanna send out a check with my name on it to everybody right before the election. So yeah, let's go even bigger, who cares? Like deficits, I've never cared about deficits. Look at the $2 trillion hole I put in the deficit with my giant tax cuts for the rich. And meanwhile, Pelosi and the Democrats want to get a deal to actually get both money to the average American worker, to the states, and yes, to some businesses, okay? So now that's the lay of the land, but there's one more topsy-turvy thing here, which is a progressive like Ro Khanna, who's the first Justice Democrat, saying, And that deal's good enough. Let's take it. And corporate Democrats going, no, I want a better deal. That almost never happens. It's usually the reverse, where Pelosi will take a terrible deal from McConnell, and Ro Khanna and others would be like, what'd you do? Why? Why did you take that terrible deal? So I have a theory on that, but I want to share it after we play the next clip. But I want to say one more thing, Anna. Yeah, I got to give credit to Pelosi here. We'll talk about whether she's right on the substance after the next clip, but for now, that is fiery. That is good fiery. That's what they should be doing every time. And I love that she said to Wolf Blitzer, you're reinforcing Republican framing. That's what we were asking for. Thank you for saying it. Yes, great.
Yeah, I do like that she still has that fight in her, because we certainly haven't been seeing much of it during the so-called resistance. But one thing that I will also say before we go to the next clip is that I understand where Ro Khanna is coming from, because Americans are increasingly desperate right now. They have not received another round of stimulus. And so, it's kind of weighing your options. And it looks like if Pelosi refuses to take the deal, well, then Americans aren't gonna get stimulus. But again, the monkey wrench in all of that is that even if Pelosi accepts it, Senate Republicans have made clear, because they're so extreme in their ideology, that they do not want to offer more financial assistance to average, ordinary Americans. Let's watch the next clip.
But let's not go into that. You evidently do not respect the chairman of the committees who wrote these bills.
I respect all of you.
And I wish you would respect the knowledge that goes into getting meeting the needs of the American people. But again, you've been on a jag defending the administration all this time with no knowledge of the difference between our two bills. And I thank you for giving me the opportunity to say that to you in person.
Madam Speaker, these are incredibly difficult times right now, and we'll leave it on that note. Thank you so much for joining us.
We'll leave it on the vote that you are not right on this, Wolf, and I hate to say that to you. But I feel confident about it, and I feel confident about my colleagues, and I feel confidence in my chairs.
It's not about me, it's about millions of Americans who can't put food on the table, who can't pay the rent.
And we represent them. And we represent them.
Getting by these long food lines that we're seeing. I know you are. I'm just saying.
We represent them, and we know them.
As we say,
we know them. We represent them.
Don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good, as they say here in Washington.
It is nowhere near perfect.
Madam Speaker.
Always the case, but we're not even close to the good.
All right, let's see what happens, because every day is critically important. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for your sensitivity to our constituents' needs.
I am sensitive to them because I see them on the street begging for food, begging for money. Madam Speaker, thank you so much.
Have you fed them? We feed them. We feed them.
We'll continue this conversation down the road for sure. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Okay, so just one quick note. In the beginning of that clip, she talks about committee chairmen, and what she's referring to is the 5 committee chairs who in recent days came out with their own statements supporting Pelosi's bargaining position, detailing topic by topic what they view as what's wrong with Trump's proposal, including the failure to adopt the Democrats' child tax credit, insufficient child care help, and not enough support for some small businesses. So look, I think those are legitimate concerns, but I also understand the perspective of Ro Khanna and other progressives who feel that we need to get economic, financial help in the hands of American people right now, right away. And also, there is some suspicion about what you're about to detail, Cenk, in terms of the motivating factors behind Nancy Pelosi's decision. So why don't we talk about that?
Yeah. Look, man, this is the most topsy-turvy story I have ever seen, with so many twists and turns as to which side everybody's on. So first of all, I'm gonna do it again, man. I don't know if she's drinking too strong coffee or something, but Nancy Pelosi, way to come out on fire. So there's been a lot of fake resistance, right? But that was actually real resistance to a cable news anchor, which I have never seen before from Nancy Pelosi or other Democrats. They usually just like, okay, thank you, sir, for the Republican framing, sir. I'm so sorry, sir, right? I'm so civil. No, she was like, no, I'm not having it, Wolf, and you're not right, okay? So I can't give her enough credit for that. Now, of course, then immediately people are like, oh, which side is Cenk on? I'm on the side of let's get things done that is fair and just. And if Nancy Pelosi does the right things, I love giving her credit for it. She doesn't often, and then I criticize her for it. So that we're telling you the reality of the situation. Now, onto the substance of it. Look, guys, it's actually a very tough decision on whether to take that deal or not. It's not a black and white issue. I think both sides have good points. Ro Khanna's side, Pelosi's side, and not McConnell's side. That's the one side that clearly does not have good points. But now, keeping it real, is there the possibility that Pelosi's not signing the deal because she doesn't want, as she said in the first clip, checks to go out with Donald Trump's signature on it right before the election? Is that a real possibility? Of course, that's a real possibility. So when people are like feign outrage, like, are you saying people are playing politics? She's the Speaker of the House. Of course she's playing politics. That's literally her job. And in fact, oftentimes I want her to play it more. This is a really tough situation. So you don't want to give Donald Trump a giant victory right before the election, but you do want to get people relief. So, I understand why she's torn about it, and you're not supposed to say that, but I'm keeping it real on that front too. At the end of the day, likely, if the deal was right, I would take the deal, because always policy over politics. But at least they're playing hardball. The one part of the clip that I did not like at all, so she's like, Wolf, you need to respect the chairman. Nah, we don't need to respect anyone.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, the chairman of your committees, who cares? That's just elitist talk, and I have no interest in elitist talk. But Wolf Blitzer, when he says, "Hey, don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good," that's a good saying. I often use that saying, and I like sometimes progressives think, if I don't have 120% of what I want, no deal on anything, right? Not that they're even in a position to make deals, honestly, most of the time. But overall, the mainstream media has used that for the last 40 years, honestly, to rob us blind. But hey, just make the deal. Hey, the Republicans and Democrats are both want to please their donors and the tax cuts for the rich. Don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Let's just do a deal that robs the American people blind. So I got no interest in what Wolf Blitzer is saying in that regard. So that was an interesting moment of authenticity on television that you don't often see, where a Democrat in leadership fighting back in a way that you almost never see. So that was an interesting hell of a moment right before the election.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.